Welcome to another episode of First Down by CoachTools. Today I'm here with Coach Zane Quesenberry. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Coach Q is the head football coach at Fort Chiswell High School, which is down in Pulaski, Virginia.
Well, it's actually with county. It's neighboring to
Okay,
Pulaski County. I'm from Pulaski County though.
I see. To kick things off, can you just share with the audience like a little bit about your background and how you've gotten involved in coaching?
Growing up in Pulaski County, tremendous football culture, football town. Had some success as a player there and got an opportunity to go on to the next level. I actually started my playing career at Emory Henry College, but later on transferred over to Maryville College in Tennessee, where I finished out my playing career and knew as a player, like football, like needed to be a part of my life because it had done so much for me. And I'd had some tremendous coaches and mentors, and I wouldn't have gotten through college, I don't think, without football. It just always gave me purpose. And I always just had a knack for knowing the game as a player. So I just kind of want to give that back to kids and to kind of be that mentor that, so many great men were to me. And so from there, I got my first coaching job at a middle school, actually, as I was finishing up my last year of college at William Blount Middle School down there in Blount County, Tennessee. It was a first-year program that had two middle schools consolidating. So I thought that was, a really unique experience. I worked with a man that had over 40 years of coaching. So he'd seen it all, done it all. So that first experience working with Rick Young, he's a Hall of Famer in Blount County, was tremendous. And at the middle school level, like a lot of people like don't think you're too good to coach middle school. Like that's where the fundamentals of the game are really taught. And so like as a coach, like you really have to take a very simplistic approach. And so after that first year, I was like, I got to do this. I want to do this my whole career. Like I'm getting into teaching. I want football to be a part of that as well. So I don't know where you want me to continue from here.
Yeah. So no, it's cool. I actually a couple years ago coached the middle school team right after I graduated college. So
Okay.
definitely understand like what you were saying, just like you really hit to focus on the fundamentals. And I
Yeah.
think that sentiment can also be carried over into high school ball. So can you talk about like some of the lessons you learned early on in your career that have served you well for your current role at Fort Chiswell?
Early on in my career, I bounced around. My first year of coaching, I was at 4 different schools. But the lessons I took from that, and I worked with some tremendous people, was like be a sponge, like soak everything in, like take everything that you're seeing and like tuck that away in your own little portfolio. Like, hey, me personally, I love this. I'm going to keep this in my back pocket. Like, I want to implement this. So going back, early on in my career, I just learned to be a sponge and like soak everything in. Like I was saying, like take those things that you really like that in the program that you're in and like tuck those away in your own personal portfolio. And maybe you're seeing things you also do not like, and you're going to say, man, I would never do that. Don't express that. Maybe keep that in your back of your mind because you're an assistant coach. But be a sponge, soak everything in. And another thing that, this was some advice I got from my college coach was like, if you're getting into coaching, like when you first get into it, like get out of your comfort zone. So I was a defensive back in college and like could tell you everything about, not everything, but a lot about the defensive back position, how it's played, and, the fundamentals, techniques, the schemes of it. So my first high school job at Bearden High School in Knoxville, I got hired as a tight ends coach. So that was way out of my comfort zone. But I was willing to take that leap and be a part of that staff. And that like really forces you to really, you got to study. Like you don't want to go into practice and your kids looking at you like, does this guy know what he's doing? So no, I really got out of my comfort zone, really studied that position and, blocking schemes and, how to run routes from, having your hand in the dirt and just so many different things. But get out of your comfort zone, be that sponge. And another thing, like, don't be afraid to get told no. Like, if you think you have a good idea, say it. Like, go to your head coach or go to your coordinator and be like, "Hey, coach, what do you think about this? What's the worst that's going to happen?" They say no,
Yeah.
then that is what it is. And don't let no hurt your feelings or like keep you from bringing ideas to the table. Because to me, it was like more often than not, I was being told, that's a great idea. Let's do that. But then there's times where there's like, nah, I don't think we're going to go that route. And, shrug it off, be like, all right, let's get back to work. Let's see what else we can find and do.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
treat it
your
like a
three
learning experience.
three big things. Yeah.
Cool. And then for the audience watching too, and I just saw this on your Twitter, Coach. So Coach Q, he was voted as the Mountain Empire District Coach of the Year. So, how long have you actually been in the head coaching role?
Oh, this was my first season. So
So
it
that's pretty
was
impressive.
it was very
Congrats.
humbling.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of a shock because um, our state champion in single A, Virginia, came out of our district this past Saturday. And another team from our district played for the state championship last year. So we were loaded with talent in our district. And we didn't finish in the top of our district. We were like tied for fourth. But I our kids competed so well all season and like earned that respect. Like that's not an award for me. That's a respect for our team award. And just the grit and determination these kids had every week. Like there was no games where we're getting blown out. Like we're playing against state level competition on the weekly and like pushing those guys. And so I guess that was really cool. It was a great honor. I told those guys, I was like, man, y'all are really putting some pressure on me now, right out of the gate. My first year as a head coach.
Yeah. So how many years were you like an assistant or a coordinator?
I was an assistant for 9 years. And that was kind of, going back to like, don't be afraid to be told no, or of denial. I've applied I got turned down for 4 other head coach jobs. Like, don't be afraid to throw your name out there. If you have that goal of being a head coach or being a coordinator, like, don't be afraid to throw your name in the hat. Like, again, what's the worst that can happen? You get
Yeah.
told no, but don't let that keep you from grinding and getting better and staying at it. So, yeah,
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And from in my perspective as a former Division 3 guy, and you can relate to this too, like when you're playing D3 ball, you don't have a scholarship. So it's really
yeah,
just for the love of the game.
absolutely.
And and it's really cool to be a part of it like that. And when you're saying just like never really giving up on your goals,
Yeah.
for me that resonated with my playing experience as a Division 3 athlete, because when my freshman season, I was actually like I was hurt for my freshman and sophomore year, and luckily stuck with it and turned out to, have a starting role for my junior season. My senior year was COVID, unfortunately, so we didn't have any games.
That sucks.
But that just for the guys watching out there, it's cool to hear how powerful it really is to stick with something if you have a goal.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Awesome. And as a former Division III guy, what about that experience has served you well in your career so far?
Um, Kind of like you said, like D3 guys, like you gotta love the game. And so like my experience was a little unique. Like I said, I went to Emory, but then I stepped away from the game and like found myself just going to school and like having not a lot of purpose. And I met this woman who's my now wife. She's like, if you want to play, like if you need that to drive you, like go find a school. And so that's what led me to Maryville. And like it totally changed my perspective. Like, being a D3 kid, you come in, you're bottom of the total pole, and that's every level that kids go to at college. And I didn't handle it well being an 18-year-old. But when I got that second chance at Maryville, like I'm like, just go do what you love doing. Like just go play every day, be positive and like see what happens. Like so I like made a little goal, make the travel team, make special teams. And like kind of made those little goals, and that kind of I think really helped me mature. And to my second year, I ended up being a starter on defense. But I really learned how to study the game when I was a player, especially at the high school level, because coming up through high school, huddle wasn't a thing yet for us. Like when I got to Maryville, huddle started becoming a thing, and like you could really like sit down and study an opponent. And um, so that whole experience just, I mean, it was incredible. Like, I got to be a part of 2 conference championships, and um, it just further grew my love of the game. And the more I learned it, and the more knowledgeable people I got to spend around, with some former NFL guys as my position coaches, and just different things like that.
Yeah. And just to your point, like football, in my opinion, is like the perfect microcosm for life because
Yeah.
you're gonna go through adversity and you have to get through it. Like, there's no easy way to the other side. And there's always going to be ups and downs. So, 100% agree with what you're saying there. Any last words, Coach, that you want to share with the audience today?
Um, I guess just for other, young coaches, like as you get into it's like set those goals. Like I had a goal like when I first got into it, like after that first year, I'm like, I want to be a coordinator. Like, I see myself being a head coach one day. Um, and don't like rush to that. Like study the game, be that sponge, like learn as much as you can about the game. Like get out of that comfort zone, um, and network, like get to know people. Because I have so many great mentors that I could call up and be like, hey, I'm dealing with this. How have you dealt with this type of situation? Like just stuff like that. Like build a network of coaches, because we're all in this together. And I truly believe that, coaches, they want each other to succeed. So yeah, network, build a family. But those are my biggest things and advice to give.
Awesome. Well, Coach, congratulations on the big nomination, and thank you
I
very much
appreciate
for
that.
being on the episode today.
I very much enjoyed it. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.